In today's episode,
Write On, A Kid's Guide to Crafting Stories by Musa Wababai.
Welcome back for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at storytelling and writing
Okay.
through the lens of a children's book, would you believe?
Wow.
It's called Write On, A Kid's Guide to Crafting Your Own Story by Musa Wababai. And you might be thinking, a kid's book? What's that going to teach me about writing?
Right.
But trust me on this one. This book is absolutely packed with wisdom that applies to all of us, no matter what age.
I like it.
And to make things even more interesting, we're going to be connecting these timeless storytelling principles
Yeah.
to the future of writing with AI.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. I mean, it's interesting how a book, like you said, aimed at kids can touch upon something so fundamental
Right, yeah.
and so relevant to the evolution of storytelling.
Right.
Like it really is a great reminder that those core principles, they transcend age and technology.
Exactly. And they really do.
Yeah.
So let's start with why writing matters, even in our increasingly digital world. Wababai starts off with a quote from Voltaire. He says, "Writing is the painting of the voice." And the introduction really emphasizes how writing can help us develop our creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence, which are all pretty essential for navigating life, right?
Absolutely. And you know what comes to mind when you're saying that is just thinking about all the information that's constantly bombarding us online these days.
Oh, yeah.
You know, writing can help us to develop those critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
To sift through it all.
Right.
You know, to not just be easily swayed by every headline that we see or, you know, every bit of clickbait that comes our way.
Oh, for sure.
But to pause, consider the source, look for evidence, and weigh different perspectives.
Right.
You know, it's like writing can empower you to become a more discerning consumer of information.
Yeah.
Which is such a valuable skill.
It is.
In any situation, not just when you're online.
It's like writing gives you the superpower to cut through all the noise and make sense of the world.
It really does. Yeah.
So let's talk about finding that storytelling spark, that inspiration.
Yep.
Wababai emphasizes the power of storytelling to connect us.
Right.
You know, when you think about it, when you share a funny experience with a friend,
Yeah.
you're not just relaying facts, right? You're sharing emotions, the laughter, the whole energy of that moment.
And bringing them into that moment with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And building on that idea of finding inspiration, Wababai encourages us to look everywhere for story ideas.
Yeah.
Our personal memories, our observations of nature, the books we read, even video games.
Yeah.
It's all fair game.
That's cool.
The key is to blend familiar elements in new and unexpected ways.
Oh, I like that, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, you could take a brave knight,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like from a classic fairy tale,
Right.
and drop them right in the middle of a futuristic city.
Oh, I like that.
And suddenly you've got a whole new story just waiting to be told. And speaking of characters, Wababai really drives home the point that characters are the heart of any good story.
Oh, absolutely.
We all have those characters from books or movies that we just can't forget. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just about creating characters, though.
Right.
It's about giving them depth.
Mm-hmm.
Wabai talks about how, you know, their flaws, their motivations, and backstory can shape who a character is.
Yeah.
And ultimately drive the plot forward. Like take Simba, for example,
Right.
from The Lion King.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We see him struggle and grow and ultimately transform throughout the story. And that's what makes him so relatable and memorable.
That's a great example. And it makes me think about how understanding character development can actually make us more critical consumers of stories in general.
Right.
You know, we start to see those layers of complexity, and it adds a whole new dimension to the experience.
Absolutely.
And of course, it helps us become better storytellers ourselves.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about building engaging story worlds.
Oh, okay.
Wababai uses this wonderful analogy.
Okay.
Crafting a world is like creating a magical playground. It's not just about describing the setting,
Right.
but creating a space that draws the reader in
Yeah.
and sets the mood for the story.
It's all about bringing that world to life with those sensory details.
Yes.
The book really emphasizes focusing on the physical environment, the culture, even the weather.
Yeah.
You know, there's this vivid example of a bustling marketplace where you can practically smell the spices, hear the chatter of vendors, and feel the cobblestones beneath your feet.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It really immerses you in
Yeah.
the story.
So let's move on to plotting the adventure.
Okay.
Wababai compares plotting to charting a course
Mm-hmm.
through uncharted territory,
Okay.
using what's called the three-act structure as a guide,
I've heard of that.
beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And don't worry, the book breaks down this structure in a way that's easy to understand.
Okay.
You know, it's all about establishing the setting and characters in the beginning,
Yeah.
building up the conflict and tension in the middle,
Right.
and then resolving everything in the end.
Okay. Good.
And of course, conflict is what drives the story forward, right?
Okay.
Those twists and turns, those unexpected moments. Wababai compares it to a roller coaster ride.
It's a great analogy.
It is, and it's so true, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like those plot twists can stay with us long after we finished a story.
Mhm.
They almost become like these cultural touch points.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you, what are some of your favorite plot twists, and why do you think they work so well?
Oh, that's a good question. There are so many that come to mind, but one that I always go back to is, oh man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, right.
There's so many good ones,
There are?
but I think one that I always go back to is the one in The Sixth Sense.
Oh.
You know, I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but
Yeah. No spoilers.
but that twist, like, completely reframed the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind. Like, I had to watch it again immediately.
I know.
Just to, like, process everything.
And see it through those new eyes.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've talked about setting the stage, plotting the course, but what about the characters' voices?
Right.
You know, Wababai dedicates a whole section to dialogue, even saying dialogue is the most human thing we do.
I like that.
It's so true. How characters speak reveals so much about who they are.
It does.
And it can move the story forward in ways that narration alone can't always achieve.
Absolutely. It's not just about what they say, it's how they say it.
Right.
You know, Wababai talks about how dialogue goes beyond just the words themselves.
Yeah.
It's about revealing character through their tone, their word choices, even what's left unsaid.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Like, imagine the difference between, say, a pirate's gruff commands
Yeah.
and a librarian's hushed whispers.
Oh.
Those distinct voices instantly paint a picture in your mind.
You can practically hear them.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not just about what's explicitly stated.
Yeah.
Those pauses, those hesitations, all that subtext adds these layers to the conversation,
Yeah.
makes it so much more engaging for the reader.
It draws you in.
Because you're invited to really think about what's going on beneath the surface.
Exactly. It encourages that active engagement,
Right.
which keeps us hooked on the story.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so from there, Wababai shifts gears a little bit
Yeah, okay.
and focuses on the craft of writing itself, like polishing your prose to make it shine.
Yeah.
Kind of like taking this rough gemstone and carefully cutting and polishing it
Oh, I like that analogy.
to reveal its brilliance.
So how do we actually do that?
Right. Well, Wababai offers some really practical tips,
Okay.
like using vivid language, strong verbs, varying those sentence lengths,
Mm-hmm.
and mastering the show, don't tell technique.
Yes, show, don't tell. The classic writing advice.
Right. It's all about bringing the reader into the scene
Yeah.
through those sensory details and actions rather than just stating facts.
Mm.
So instead of saying, like, he was angry,
Right.
you might say something like, his fists clenched and his face flushed red as he glared across the table.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly the reader can really feel that tension
Yeah, that visual, right.
and that anger in that moment.
And then comes the part that maybe some people dread, but it's crucial.
Right.
Revising and editing.
Oh, yes.
Wababai reminds us writing is rewriting.
It's true.
It's about taking a step back,
Yeah.
asking those tough questions about your work,
Mhm.
and then diving into those nitty-gritty details to make it the best it can be.
Yeah, the book really stresses the importance of getting a fresh perspective,
Right.
you know, taking a break from it, reading your work aloud, maybe even getting feedback from others.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
All of these things can help you to catch errors
Yeah.
and to see your writing in a whole new light.
It's like putting on a fresh pair of eyes.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's encouraging to remember that even the most famous authors
Right.
go through multiple drafts.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wababai talks about J.K. Rowling's journey with the Harry Potter books
Okay.
and how it faced numerous rejections
Wow.
before it became the global phenomenon that we know and love.
Really?
Yeah, and it's a great reminder that revision is a natural part of the creative process.
It's part of the journey.
And it's often where the real magic happens.
It is.
So, speaking of sharing your work,
Okay.
the book concludes with a powerful message about putting your stories out into the world.
I like that.
Well, Bobby argues that everyone has a story worth telling
Mm.
and encourages readers to find their own unique way to share it,
Yeah.
whether it's through personal conversations, journaling, blogging, performing, even publishing a book.
It's cool how he doesn't limit the definition of sharing.
Right.
It's all about finding what feels right for you and letting your voice be heard.
Exactly.
And you know what's really interesting? The author shares a personal anecdote
Oh, yeah.
about writing a story when he was just 8 years old
Okay.
and how that experience sparked a lifelong passion for storytelling.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Eh.
It's a reminder that sometimes even the simplest stories can have the most profound impact.
Yeah.
And here's where Wababai brings in this really thought-provoking concept.
Okay.
The idea of AI as a writing partner.
Oh, interesting.
Not to replace human creativity, of course,
Right.
but to expand it, to help us generate ideas, to explore different perspectives, and to push the boundaries of what's possible in storytelling.
It's like having a brainstorming buddy who can help you unlock those hidden creative pathways in your mind.
That's a great way to put it.
And it raises some fascinating questions, doesn't it? Like, what if AI could help us tell stories in ways we never thought possible?
Right.
What new forms of storytelling might emerge from this collaboration?
It really is an exciting time to be a storyteller.
It is.
As technology continues to evolve, those core elements of storytelling, character, plot, setting, dialogue,
Right.
those will always remain at the heart of the craft.
They do.
And that's what makes Write On such a valuable resource.
Yeah.
It provides a solid foundation for anyone who wants to explore the magic of writing,
Right.
regardless of their age or their experience.
Yeah, it really does seem like it goes back to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? I mean, whether you're a seasoned writer or just starting out,
Right.
this book, it offers, I think, a playful yet insightful guide to tapping into your own creative wellspring.
It really encourages you to just embrace the joy of writing,
Yeah.
to experiment, to play with words and ideas without being afraid of judgment or,
Yeah.
making mistakes or anything.
Yeah.
It's about finding your voice
Yeah.
and sharing your unique perspective with the world.
And who knows, maybe your story could be the one that sparks someone else's imagination.
Right.
Ignites a passion.
Or makes them feel less alone.
Or just makes them feel a little less alone in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the power of storytelling, right?
It really is. It's to connect us, to inspire us, and to remind us that our voices matter.
They do. They really do.
Yeah.
So grab a pen, open a notebook, or fire up your favorite writing app.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
And just start writing. Let those ideas flow. Don't be afraid to experiment. You never know what amazing stories are waiting to be discovered within you.
As you embark on your writing journey, I'll leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What if every story that we tell is like planting a seed in this fertile ground of imagination?
What if those seeds take root and grow into this vibrant forest of creativity?
Exactly.
Connecting us all in ways we never thought possible before.
That's beautiful.
It is. It's a beautiful image. And on that note, happy writing, everyone.
You've listened to our latest episode of Right Here, Right Now